1988 wasn't just another year in rock, it was the year everything shifted. MTV still ruled and hair metal dominated the charts. But underground movements were quietly reshaping the future. 13 songs emerged that didn't just capture the moment, they rewrote the rules. Number 13. Think about the most influential song that never became a hit. A track that barely registered on the charts, but somehow became the secret handshake of an entire generation of musicians. What song could inspire everyone from Nirvana to Radiohead, while most people had never even heard of it? Where Is My Mind? The Pixies.
Where is my mind? Where is my mind?
The Pixies released Where Is My Mind on their debut album Surfer Rosa in 1988, and it changed everything without anyone noticing. Frank Black's otherworldly vocals floated over Kim Deal's hypnotic bass line, while David Lovering's drums created a rhythm that felt both driving and dreamlike. The song's quiet, loud, quiet dynamics became the template that grunge would perfect just a few years later.
I was swimming in the Caribbean.
Frank Black wrote the song after a snorkeling trip in the Caribbean where a small fish kept following him around. That simple experience became a meditation on consciousness and reality that resonated far beyond its humble origins. The track's influence exploded in the 1990s when Kurt Cobain called the Pixies his favorite band, and you can hear Where Is My Mind in every Nirvana song that builds from whisper to scream.
Where is my mind?
Number 12. Picture an Australian band taking on one of the country's most controversial issues and turning it into an international rock anthem. What song combined driving guitars with political activism, forcing the world to confront uncomfortable truths about indigenous rights? Beds Are Burning, Midnight Oil.
How do we sleep while our beds are burning?
Midnight Oil's Beds Are Burning was more than just a rock song. It was a call to action. Peter Garrett's commanding vocals delivered lyrics about Aboriginal land rights over Rob Hurst's thunderous drums and Jim Magini's urgent guitar work. The song reached number 17 in the US and number 6 in the UK, proving that political rock could still find mainstream success. The track's power came from its specificity. Lines like "Four wheels scare the cockatoos from Kintore East to Yuendumu" weren't just poetry. They referenced real places where Aboriginal communities had been displaced. The song forced international audiences to confront Australia's treatment of its indigenous people, using rock music as a vehicle for social justice. Beds Are Burning influenced how bands could address political issues without sacrificing commercial appeal. Its combination of urgent musicality and specific activism became a template for socially conscious rock throughout the 1990s. Number 11. Imagine a song that shattered every assumption about what rock music could be in 1988. A track that combined metal riffs with funk rhythms, political commentary with radio-friendly hooks, and featured a band that looked nothing like the typical rock stars of the era. What song opened doors that had been locked for decades? Cult of Personality, Living Colour.
I'm the cult of personality. The cult of personality.
Living Colour's Cult of Personality was revolutionary on multiple levels. Vernon Reid's guitar work was technically stunning, incorporating jazz fusion techniques into heavy rock frameworks. Corey Glover's vocals could handle both melodic passages and aggressive attacks. The rhythm section of Muzz Skillings and Will Calhoun created grooves that were simultaneously heavy and danceable.
Look in my eyes, what do you see?
The song's lyrics tackled political manipulation and media control with an intelligence rarely heard in mainstream rock. References to Stalin, Mussolini, and Gandhi weren't typical radio fare.
Mussolini, Stalin, and Gandhi.
But the song's undeniable power made it impossible to ignore. The track reached number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 and won a Grammy for Best Hard Rock Performance. Living Colour proved that rock could be diverse, intelligent, and commercially successful. They opened doors for bands like Fishbone and 24/7 Spies, and their influence could be heard in everyone from Rage Against the Machine to Seven Dust.
I'm the smiling face on your TV.
Number 10. What song perfectly captured the excess and escapism of the late 80s while simultaneously representing everything that alternative rock would rebel against? A track that became both a celebration and an unintentional time capsule of an era about to end. Nothing But a Good Time. Poison. Poison's Nothing But a Good Time was the ultimate party anthem of 1988, but it also marked the peak of hair metal's commercial dominance. Bret Michaels' vocals delivered pure hedonistic joy over C.C. DeVille's infectious guitar hooks, creating a song that was impossible not to sing along with. The track hit number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a staple of rock radio. What made this song historically significant was its timing. Released just as underground movements were gaining momentum, Nothing But a Good Time represented the last gasp of 80s excess. Within 3 years, Nirvana would make this kind of carefree party rock seem obsolete. The song became a dividing line between the old guard and the new, making it essential listening for understanding how dramatically rock would change in the early 90s. Number 9. Think about a song that perfectly captured a band at their creative and commercial peak. What track combined arena-sized hooks with just enough grit to maintain credibility while launching one of the biggest albums of the decade? Bad Medicine, Bon Jovi. Bad Medicine opened Bon Jovi's New Jersey album with a burst of confidence that announced the band's arrival as stadium rock royalty. The song's medical metaphor for love was clever without being pretentious, while Richie Sambora's guitar work provided the perfect balance of melody and power. The track hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and established the template for Bon Jovi's approach to rock stardom. Working-class themes delivered with arena-sized production. The song's success helped New Jersey become one of the best-selling rock albums of all time, proving that heartland rock could compete with both hair metal and emerging alternative sounds. Bad Medicine influenced how bands approached the balance between accessibility and authenticity. Its formula of combining relatable lyrics with massive hooks became the blueprint for mainstream rock in the early 90s. Number 8. What song was written in 15 minutes during a recording break, but became one of the most recognizable rock anthems of all time? A track that transformed from album filler to cultural phenomenon through an unexpected route? Pour Some Sugar on Me, Def Leppard. Pour Some Sugar on Me wasn't even supposed to be a single from Hysteria. Joe Elliott started humming the melody during a break in recording, and the band quickly assembled the song around his improvised hook. The track's success came through an unusual path. Strip clubs began using it as background music, which led to radio requests and eventually massive mainstream success. The song's production was typical of the Hysteria album's approach. Layers upon layers of vocals and guitars, creating a wall of sound that was both dense and clear. Mutt Lange's production techniques made every element audible while maintaining the song's raw energy. The track became a cultural touchstone, appearing in countless movies and TV shows. Its influence on rock production was enormous, showing how studio techniques could enhance rather than diminish a song's power. The song proved that rock could be both sophisticated and primal, setting the stage for the production arms race of the 1990s. Number 7. What song proved that a band could overcome seemingly impossible obstacles and create their most polished work? A track that represented triumph over tragedy while pushing production techniques to their absolute limit? Love Bites, Def Leppard. Def Leppard's Love Bites was their first and only #1 hit in the United States, but its significance goes far beyond chart success. The song was recorded during the Hysteria sessions, which took place after drummer Rick Allen lost his arm in a car accident. The band's decision to continue with Allen, who learned to play with a custom electronic kit, became one of rock's greatest comeback stories. Producer Mutt Lange layered dozens of vocal tracks to create the song's rich harmonies, pushing studio technology to create a sound that was both massive and intimate. The production techniques pioneered on Hysteria influenced everyone from Bon Jovi to Nickelback, establishing the template for arena rock in the CD era. The song's success proved that rock could be both emotionally genuine and commercially calculated. Its combination of personal vulnerability and professional polish became the standard for power ballads throughout the late 80s and early 90s. Number 6. Picture a band at their absolute peak, fresh off conquering America, deciding to completely reinvent their sound. They're working with legendary producers, experimenting with new technology, and creating something that bridges their anthemic past with a grittier future. What song marked this pivotal transformation? Desire, U2. U2's Desire was their first #1 hit in the UK, but more importantly, it was their first step away from the soaring spiritual anthems that made them famous. Recorded during the sessions for Rattle and Hum, the song featured a Bo Diddley beat, harmonica, and a rootsier approach that felt more like the Rolling Stones than the earnest Irish rockers we knew. The Edge's guitar work was deliberately restrained, focusing on rhythm rather than his signature delay-drenched leads. Bono's vocals were more conversational, less preacher-like. This was U2 discovering American rock and roll mythology, and it pointed toward their complete reinvention on Achtung Baby just 3 years later. The song showed how established bands could reinvent themselves without losing their core identity, a lesson that became crucial as the music industry fragmented in the 1990s. Number 5. What song took a breakup and turned it into a riff-heavy anthem that perfectly captured the frustration of toxic relationships? A track that proved rock and roll's queen could still deliver knockout punches well into her career. I Hate Myself for Loving You, Joan, Jett, and the Blackhearts. Joan Jett's I Hate Myself for Loving You was pure emotional honesty, wrapped in one of the most infectious guitar riffs of 1988. The song reached number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100, proving that Jett's brand of straightforward rock and roll could still find mainstream success in an era dominated by increasingly elaborate productions. The track was co-written with Desmond Child, who had worked with Bon Jovi and Aerosmith, but Jett's delivery made it unmistakably her own. Her vocals conveyed both vulnerability and strength, while the guitar work maintained the raw edge that had defined her career since the Runaways. I Hate Myself for Loving You influenced how female rockers could address relationships without losing their edge. The song's combination of emotional honesty and musical power became a template for artists like Alanis Morissette and Fiona Apple in the 1990s. Number 4. Think about a song that showed a different side of a band known for pure party anthems. What track proved that even the most hedonistic rockers could deliver genuine emotion when it mattered? Every Rose Has Its Thorn, Poison.
Every rose has its thorn.
Poison's Every Rose Has Its Thorn was written by Bret Michaels after he discovered his girlfriend was cheating on him during a phone call from a Dallas hotel room. The acoustic-based ballad was a dramatic departure from the band's usual high-energy party rock, but it became their biggest hit, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song's success proved that hair metal bands could show vulnerability without losing their audience. Its combination of personal pain and accessible melody influenced how rock bands approached ballads throughout the late 80s and early 90s. The track's acoustic foundation also pointed toward the unplugged movement that would become popular in the 1990s. Every Rose Has Its Thorn became a template for the power ballad, showing that even the most commercial rock could carry genuine emotional weight when the songwriting was honest and the performance was sincere. Number 3. What song marked the triumphant return of America's greatest rock and roll band? A track that proved that talent and determination could overcome years of self-destruction and commercial failure? Angel, Aerosmith. Aerosmith's Angel was more than just a comeback single. It was proof of redemption. The song reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, marking the band's return to the top 10 for the first time since the mid-1970s. Steven Tyler's vocals had regained their power after years of substance abuse, while Joe Perry's guitar work showed that their chemistry remained intact. The track was co-written with Desmond Child and featured the polished production that characterized Aerosmith's late 80s renaissance. The song's success helped establish the template for classic rock bands reinventing themselves for the MTV era without abandoning their core identity. Angel influenced how veteran bands could adapt to changing musical landscapes while maintaining their authenticity. Its success paved the way for other classic rock comebacks throughout the late 80s and early 90s. Number 2. Picture a band that had been struggling for years, suddenly handed a song they didn't want to record. What track became their biggest hit despite their initial reluctance? Proving that sometimes the best songs come from unexpected places? The Flame, Cheap Trick. Cheap Trick's The Flame was written by outside songwriters Bob Mitchell and Nick Graham, and the band initially resisted recording it. They felt it was too commercial, too far from their power pop roots. Their record label essentially forced them to record the song, and it became their first and only #1 hit. The track's success proved that established bands could benefit from outside songwriting without losing their identity. Robin Zander's vocals were perfectly suited to the song's emotional demands, while Rick Nielsen's guitar work added the band's signature touches to the polished production. The Flame influenced how rock bands approached collaboration with professional songwriters. Its success showed that artistic integrity and commercial appeal didn't have to be mutually exclusive, a lesson that became increasingly important as the music industry became more competitive in the late 1990s. Number 1. What song marked the moment when metal's most uncompromising band discovered the power of dynamics and became accessible without selling out? A track that proved heavy music could be both brutal and beautiful? 1. Metallica. Darkness imprisoning me, all that I see. Metallica's One was inspired by the novel and film Johnny Got His Gun, telling the story of a soldier who loses his limbs, sight, hearing, and ability to speak in World War I. The song's structure mirrored the protagonist's journey from confusion to rage, starting with clean guitar arpeggios and building to a machine gun climax that represented the character's internal screaming. This was Metallica's first music video, and its black and white imagery mixed with scenes from the 1971 film created a visual narrative that was both artistic and brutal. The song reached number 35 on the Billboard Hot 100, proving that complex, lengthy metal songs could find mainstream acceptance. One showed that metal could be cinematic and literary. It influenced bands like Tool and Opeth to create longer, more narrative-driven songs, and proved that heaviness could come from emotional weight rather than just volume and speed. The song became the bridge between metal's underground origins and its mainstream future. These 13 songs didn't just define 1988, they built the bridge between rock's past and future. Together, they proved that the best music doesn't just capture its moment, it creates the next one.